Thanks, Hannah. Some players have become such established names in pool that they're often referred to by three initials. We've got SFVB, FSR, and maybe now a young man on his way to becoming known simply as JAD. It's been a dream week for the rising star from Spain, and the dream continues with a showdown against the champion of the world. It was a 2.5-hour epic contest between the two Austrians, so a lot of the crowd have gone out for a little break. I'm sure they'll be back in due course to see the world champion against the young pretender. What have you made of him this week, Carl?
Well, it's been a dream week for Jose Alberto Delgado. He's up against it. He will know this, but he's got to try and enjoy this match. It's not easy getting to these stages of these big majors. Early signs of nerves there. Just an indication was where the cue ball was bouncing. And as we've seen in the last match, the break is tough. He's going to need to think of the last few days. He's obviously played some good pool. He's got some good memories here. Try and draw on that, and you just never know. Nice opening shot there from Shane. Does the purple 5 past the 8 ball. That's the ball that's going to be big in this rack.
So many close matches on the way to this semi-final. Janiuski, as early as the third round, effectively, was level with him at 7-all, had his chances to win. SVB eventually got it done at 9-7. Even in his 9-5 win over Sebastian Stab in his first match of the single elimination stage, finished 9-5, but that doesn't tell the story at all. Stab really put it up to him early on. Took a late flurry from Van Boening to get through to a clash with Wojciech Szewczyk. That was 10-8. Sanjin Pelovanovic took him to 10-7. Mateusz Sniegocki was left with so many things to regret from their quarter-final last night. And even with that, it still finished close enough at 11-7.
Well, it definitely passed it, so it's a mistake. And this is just what Jose would have been dreaming for in this semi-final. You can clearly see he goes. Just pushes it into the 8 ball.
Been waiting a long time, much longer than they would have expected to get on the table. And that can channel itself into nerves.
Extension, please.
For anybody. Two players at complete opposite ends, really, of the experience spectrum.
That will settle him down. Good little pot there. He's just over on the cue ball a bit, though. Now he's got to be hampered cueing over the 9. Another good shot there.
As Hannah was saying, Shane Van Boening was practicing away just behind us here, all the way through that first semi-final. He's gone out there and made a real error in the opening rack. As you said, Carl, there was plenty of room for that 5 to get past. Delgado has made him pay. He leads 1-0. Nobody is immune from nerves, Carl, at this level, and I think we saw that there.
Yes, we also seen it in the very last match as well from Mario. He will be absolutely sick.
There's Delgado's route. All very straightforward the first couple of matches. Then beaten by Niels Fyan. Absolutely no disgrace in that whatsoever. Just had to win one match then on the loser's side against Alex Montpellier. And there you see it's been a bit of a white knuckle ride at times. Sebastian Batkowski got through that 9-7. More comfortable then against Mark Bijsterbosch and Ronald Regley. And what a finish it was against Mieszko Fortunski. Final rack absolutely dripping with tension before he got the job done. Fortunski was being talked about once again as a potential winner of a big title. He'll be absolutely sick that his hopes came to an end in a quarter-final. He would have gone into as the favourite. This man has been perhaps the story of the week so far, you know. 28 years of age from the Canary Islands.
Lost the cue ball again though. He's not quite hitting him as full as he would like. That's why the cue ball is going low near the corner.
2 dry breaks to start.
Table layout looks very kind for Shane as well, so it's a good chance to get his first rack on the board and forget about that mistake he made in the opening rack.
Talked about all the tight finishes Van Boning's had. It was similar at the World Championship, probably even more so. Got the job done. At the UK Open, in contrast, he sailed through the early rounds, and when he was really finding it being put up to him in the semi-final against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, he ended up being beaten heavily, 11-4. So seems to produce his best tournaments when he has to face a series of tough challenges along the way. From Sheffield in the background, referee of this second semi-final. Both semis being taken charge of by men who've refereed the World Snooker Championship final in their time.
Did he just catch the point of the corner pocket then?
So Delgado ultimately got away with the dry break in the opening rack. It doesn't look as though it's going to happen again here. Hasn't been back to the table since. Didn't look settled entirely in the opening rack. Business as usual there. He's back on terms at 1 each. So now we're going to get our first look in this match at Shane Van Boning's break. And of course he really struggled with it in some of his matches. Again in the quarter-final last night against Sniagotsky. Had so many dry breaks. A couple of scratches in there as well. That's the run he's had through that I was telling you about. Uski certainly had chances to beat him, and I think one or two opponents have followed. We'll be looking back and thinking what might have been. Fair to say, Van Boening has not been at his best this week. He's been very good at closing out matches. What do you think, Carl? He'll have spent a lot of time working on the breaks since that match last night.
Rack 3. Shane Van Boening to break. 1 rack each.
Yeah, I believe he will have been, and I also think he will have been watching a little bit of the previous match. Maybe he's going to try out the cup break for a little while. He's made a ball. This is going to be quite thin though for Shane if he's going to attack the 1 ball. There you see a better angle. That's very thin.
Said in the past, I think there's nobody better at potting balls. Really acute angles. Saw that a number of times actually against Nugotski last night. .39 of age from South Dakota. Unquestionably established now as one of the all-time greats.
Push out call.
And even with that ability for potting from distance at acute angles, Van Boening doesn't fancy the challenge. So what's he done here with the push out, Carl?
I believe he's just rolled it into an angle what is a little bit easier for him to bank the 1 ball up past the red 3 and the 8. The previous angle, it might have been coming into them 2 balls. Of course, Delgado can play the shot, but he's having none of it.
30 seconds, please.
Well, you can just see the right-hand side of that one, can't you? Looking at that angle. It's a very nice view, that has to be said.
So it seems what he was actually doing was trying to give himself a more favourable, wider angle, I guess, on the 1. Hasn't worked out for him anyway.
No, I don't think he was going for the pot. I think he was just trying to bump it back over to the centre and trying to use the 7 ball. It was a miss-hit.
What, with a view to using the 7 to block the 1?
Yeah, maybe running the cue ball sort of towards that 5. It's tough to see, really, because he's hit it so bad. Oh, the flick on the 6 has not helped. Trying to use this 8 ball, and he's done a fine job.
Remember, if Van Boening wins this match, he'll be up against Alban Ocean in the final. That would be a repeat of this year's World Championship final. Indeed, it would also be a repeat of 2016, when Ocean beat Van Boening for the world title. So many mistakes early on in this match, Carl.
Yeah, just kicked it not full enough. Just look at the angle there, and it can often skid along that rail. Spain winning the World Cup this year will have inspired Jose a little bit, wouldn't it? He will have seen the boys finally win the World Cup of pool, so that can often have a knock-on effect onto other players.
Well, as I said, he's from the Canary Islands. He's recently moved to Murcia to be nearer David O'Cady and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz and practice with them. So I'm sure he felt very much a part of what happened in Brentwood back in June.
And the practice is paying off as he finds himself in his first major semi-final.
There is FSR. Wasn't a great week for him or O'Cady, really.
Little tester. Looks a decent cue. Looks like he's not going to miss too many pots with his cue action.
It's bound to make him feel good that he's made a couple of mistakes and he's probably going to lead after 3 racks. So he goes 1 in front for the second time.
Wins the rack.
Delgado, 2-1 in front against the world champ. Our first semi-final produced so many mistakes on both sides and was all the more compelling for that. It's been the same in the early stages here. Jose Alberto Delgado is leading Shane Van Boening 2-1. He's got the break. He's been dry with both of his efforts so far.
I was talking to JJ this morning and I said I've been told Jose Delgado has been breaking head-on for the full event. Is the 3 going to go? It is. This is a chance. The only problem is, well, let's just have another look. Let's not get too giddy, Carl. Yeah, maybe if he has to play the combination and pop the purple 5, the 1 ball looks like it's going to squeeze the other way. Maybe be able to go rail first, skim off the 5, and then pop the 1.
Though he is a relatively new name at this level. He is 28, he's been around a while. He's European junior champion here in Germany, in fact, at both 9-ball and 10-ball. As long ago as 2012.
That's turned out very messy. Not allowed to touch, the ball with your cue. I know some places in America that can be a legal shot.
Extension, please.
Brendan will be having a good look at this one.
A long way out. Again, he's made it difficult for himself.
Yeah, if he did go for the pot there, he's missed that by a long way. Maybe he was playing safe, cue ball in behind the 9. Who knows? Long pot for Shane. He's passed the test. May play the cue ball in the bottom pocket. Try and get the cue ball up where he's pointing now for a safety.
See there, the crowd starting to filter back in.
Extension, please.
Most of them, I think, went out for a bit of lunch after the epic first semi-final. Albin Ocean, that wonderful late flurry, seeing off his good pal and fellow Austrian, Mario He.
Have you been eating at that little food store out in the court there, Michael?
Would you believe I haven't actually been to it even once this week? I've just been going out in the evenings. Is it good?
It's very good, yeah. I mean, Phil said you were tight, but I didn't know you were that tight, pal.
Too busy commentating to get out and eat.
Shane would like to play that one again because he's under it this by a long way. Wanted the cue ball to be gelled on top of the 8. Over the years, we have seen Shane kind of, I wouldn't say give up, but you know, when the match is not quite going his way and he's losing, he can sometimes look like he's giving up. This is a good kick safe.
I don't like putting you on the spot. Actually, I do like putting you on the spot. Can you think of any specific examples of that?
All the Mosconi Cups. No, I just mean when he's, you know, it could be 7-2, couldn't it? A scoreline like that. And
Foul stroke. Ball in hand.
obviously then your opponent starts to relax and it's hard to get back in the game, and he's had a few chances here,
Start the
hasn't
clock.
he? I'm not saying that's easy when you blow it that thin.
A look of disbelief in the eyes. How dare the balls do that?
And this was all caused because Shane didn't get that cue ball tight on that 8 ball. He left that little bit of a gap. Jose played a good kick safe, and now it looks like it's going to be 3-1. There's a long way to go in this match, Michael, but if Jose goes on to win this tournament...
Basically what we saw from Van Boening earlier, just on the other side of the table.
Well, would you look at where that's finished?
Oh, what a result.
That's incredible.
There was even more room to get by that time, I think, than the Van Boening equivalent earlier.
Could have landed anywhere. Jose Alberto, is it your week? Shane's got to hit the ball and see what happens. He did, but he's going to leave a pot. Jose's going to get away with one here.
Don't know if you heard Phil Yates' commentary on the first semi-final, but he was quoting you a lot. Something you say about Albin Ocean, that Albin gets away with things. Some of that seems to have rubbed off on Delgado here. He goes 3-1 in front with the mistakes he's made. Oh, well, I was going to say he'll be scarcely able to believe it, even more so now. But again, it looks like he's got away with it.
Yeah, if Shane can pull off a bank or a safety here and pinch this rack, it is going to be worrying times. Because he's had 2 glorious opportunities to go 3-1 up here. Played the safety, just leaving distance. That's experience. If Jose plays the bank and gets it, fair enough, but Shane's just took a little bit of a chance there. 3rd chance for the rack. It's going to go 2 ways, this. If he makes this and wins the rack, it's going to settle him down, refocus. If he loses the rack, well, it could be very unsettling. He's chased a 9. He's chased a 9! It's going to cost him the rack. He's had 3 chances.
Well, it evolved into one of those racks that whoever ended up losing it was going to have regrets about it. And those regrets belong to Delgado. Could have been 3-1 up on the world champ. Instead, he left a simple combination. And it's 2 apiece.
He's going to be sat in his chair now, thinking about what's gone on in that rack. How have I lost that rack? And that can eat away at you.
Boening, though, is going to be surely saying something to himself along the lines of, OK, enough of this now. I've made the mistakes. I've got away with them, which he kind of has, really. He's not fallen behind in the match early on. Now needs to bring his best, because he's up against a much less experienced opponent who seems to be struggling with the occasion. Boening's been around long enough to know in those circumstances, this is one he should streak away with. It did briefly look like it might get kicked in second time around by the 6. But once they came to rest, there was no doubt about the outcome of that 4th rack. Delgado really does look fuming with himself. It's a long match, race to 11.
Shane Van Boening to break.
No future for him in it if he lets that fester. 2-all.
Dry break. Can't see the 1. Could maybe kick at this off 2 rails. If he gets in behind it, he could send the 1 back up table. Cue ball stays there. It's not the worst of options.
There wasn't much in Delgado's performance in the event in Bulgaria last week to suggest what he was about to do here. Didn't even make it to single elimination. Was beaten in the losers qualifying round by Andreas Daniel of Germany.
Always a chance of it going in that side. It's not really a fluke. He knows kicking it that way, it's going to track towards there. It's like a bit of a 2-way shot. And where the 2 ball's situated, he would have also known he's going to have a look at this one as well. This may well be trickier than the pots he's missed in the previous.
Oh, I think he's falling into the category of struggling already. There's the 1. As Carl said, it was a bit of a 2-way shot. I think he knew there was a possibility of that. And he thought he'd got the 2, didn't he? Ordinarily, you'd expect him to get that, although it was a little bit of a tester. But really bad signs as far as coping with the occasion
Extension,
from Delgado's
please.
point of view.
It's not easy out there. That's what makes a champion a champion. I'm not saying Jose can't go on and win this match. Of course he can, but he's going to have to show a lot of character now, and we're gonna see where he's at. Shane's not out of the wood yet, though. Looks a tricky positional shot to get from this 3 to the 4. Maybe plays it off 3 rails.
Just looking at Delgado's demeanour there and everything we've seen. It's going to be a vital stage in the match even early on. If Van Boening could get a couple of racks in front now, Delgado could be in all sorts of mental turmoil.
Great shot. Cue power was there. Beautiful. May well have the biggest cue power in the game, Shane. Made that look very easy. Yeah, tough shots. You've got to really get through the cue ball. There's another look. Look at the cue ball bite and arc back. That looks okay. Yeah, he's got enough angle there. He can punch it in and just come out, or if he's feeling fruity, he can top it right through off the back rail and back out. He's feeling fruity.
Fair to say, he has struggled to settle into this match just as much as his much less experienced opponent here. And that could all change if he goes in front for the first time. And he's going to now. The man from the Canary Islands is all at sea. Shane Van Boening is starting to capitalise now. He leads for the first time in this semi-final at 3-2.
Shane's been there before. He's done it. He's won tournaments where he's played great. He's won tournaments from behind, and he knows how to fight. He knows how to get himself back into a match. You can actually physically see it in the face.
That's been a huge part of what he's done this year. I said at the World Championship, he had so many battles. He's had a few this week as well. World Champion 2022, you can see there on the screen. It really was one of sport's great anomalies that he had never won the World Championship. Been to the final a couple of times. I mentioned Alban Ocean beat him in one of those. Ko Pin-Yi in the other. He said in advance of the final that if he won, it would be the greatest day of his life. So, he's got the lead. Can he build on it?
Shane Van Boening to break. Leading 3
really
racks.
Turn up the heat on a clearly under pressure opponent.
He's gone over the other side of the table there, took a chance, and it's paid off. Oh, it's really paid off. He's got a shot at the one. All the balls are in the open. What a chance to really punish Delgado now. This is where Shane is so reliable. When they're just all sat there, it's all about cue ball. And even at this scoreline, Shane knows that just 3-2 ahead, just to creep in front that bit more.
Can you remember, Carl, the first time you were out there on a big stage like this and how you dealt with it all?
It was a breeze, man. An absolute breeze. No, it wasn't a breeze. I'm only joking.
But were you able to perform, or did you find yourself stifled by it at first?
Well, it was that long ago. I'm struggling to remember. I think not so much individual events. I think where, obviously, for instance, Delgado's never played in a Mosconi Cup, and we have a bit of a saying, if you've never played in a Mosconi, you've never felt pressure. And that goes for even if you've played in like a world final or the final this week, if you're not used to it. Playing in a Mosconi Cup where you've got 3,000 merry people, let's say, there, all singing and shouting. It is a very, very unique experience, and I think if anyone's played in a Mosconi and you've done well, I think you can pretty much perform in anything.
Shane Van Boening has played more Mosconi Cup matches, 96 in fact, than anyone else, across 15 different Mosconi Cup tournaments. There's no form of pressure, no situation in this game that he isn't familiar with. A couple of things that haven't happened yet in this match. A break and run, and a 2-rack lead for either player. But they've both happened now. Shane Van Boening moving through the gears. He leads Jose Alberto Delgado in this semi-final 4-2. Welcome back to Fulda, where it's been an intriguing start to this semi-final.
Shane Van Boening to break.
Shane Van Boening looked very nervy himself early on, despite having a huge advantage in terms of experience. But Jose Alberto Delgado didn't punish him to the full. Now SPB's finding some form, and he's too clear. There's a scratch. Had a few of those last night. Continues his uneasy relationship with the break in this tournament.
I wonder if we're going to see Shane break straight down the middle of the pack. Be interesting to see his next break at some point.
Well, absolutely. Nothing else seems to be working for him this week. It's such a turnaround. We saw him at the Premier League in Milton Keynes early in the year. He's clearly putting huge emphasis on the break and generating extraordinary power with it. And then back at the same venue 6 weeks later, that was the bedrock of his World Championship success. But it's been a real problem for him throughout this European Open.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably most of the players in the event have struggled with the break this week, and that's why Matchroom have raised the rack. The players have spoke. Matchroom have listened. The 1 ball used to be on the spot, and it's now the 9 ball, and that has changed things drastically.
It's an enormous change in the sport, and some of the matches we've seen this week, I think, have endorsed the change because they've been all the better for it. We've seen some wonderful clashes. Filler Catchy really stands out for me from the last 64 Friday morning, and Ocean against He. We simply wouldn't have had a contest of that nature under the old breaking rules.
Well, I firmly believe he would have won the match with a 1 on the spot. With the chances he had, I think the chances would have come a little easier. Albin's so good at grinding away, making life difficult. And obviously they're very good friends. It must have been a tough match to play as well. You almost haven't got that same killer instinct.
Yeah, you got to try to put it to one side during the match as much as you can, but it is very hard to do. No problem with having sympathy, compassion when the match is over. There was no lack of killer instinct from Ocean in the end. 9-7 down.
Extension.
Hadn't led at any point. Came through 11-9. May yet be picking up the European Open trophy on his birthday.
Doesn't want to be straight. He needs an angle. Straight could be awkward. He's got an angle. He's just found that top rail. Well, he doesn't have much angle. Looking at that overhead, he's got to force this. Watch the side pocket. Watch the side pocket. He's scratched. Oh my word.
And the rack started with a scratch, and it's effectively ended with another one.
Start a clock, please.
He really needed to make something happen there. It looked as though he was going to get back to only 1 behind. Surely the most significant moment of the match so far, but it goes back a couple of shots because he got himself out of ideal position in the previous pot. And that was why he left himself with so much to do on the 8, and it all caught up with him in the end, as it so often does. And all of a sudden, it's 4 in a row for Van Boening, and he's 3 clear. And now, the fuming face is back. Well, this was it. As I said, Carl, he's left himself out of ideal position on the 7, and that was why he was far from ideal on the 8.
Yeah, playing this with left on spin. Just trying to get down there for a good shot on the 9. Horrible to see.
Rack 8. Shane Van Boening to break, leading 5 racks to 2.
And it feels horrible as well. He's still sticking with a cut break, I think. No, he's gone down the middle. He's scratched again. Usually he's very good at breaking down the middle and controlling the cue ball in the centre of the table. It sort of pops back and stops.
Start the clock, please.
But because he's not been doing it, he's not got the feel yet. And that's why he's scratched straight in the corner. The break is causing problems, Michael.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying, that most of the players have struggled with it this week, but perhaps more than most, and most surprisingly among the top players anyway. So the last 4 racks, Boening has broken in all of them. He's had a dry break and 2 scratches.
Struggling with the pace, isn't he, at the minute? Shouldn't have been nowhere near that side pocket again. May have to pull the cue ball back here.
Hasn't come entirely out of nowhere by any means. As recently as the UK Open, he got within a couple of wins of the single elimination, which was hard to get to that week. Only 16 players in it. Imran Majid ended his campaign at the Copper Box. And then another event with a similar format to this, the US Open last year. Had some good wins, beat Badr Al-Awadi and Mika Immonen. Again, got pretty close to single elimination there. It's 3 wins away from it when Marco Teutcher narrowly beat him. So he's shown some form in these big field events over the last 12 months. Nothing on this level, though. Here he is in the semi-final, and with a chance to get back within striking distance. Really had to knuckle down and take advantage of this after the calamity of the previous rack.
Jose Delgado wins the rack.
Got away with the scratch on the break in the previous rack. Not this time, though. It's 5-3. This the inaugural European Open. We've had the first ever UK Open this year as well. It's a wonderful year of pool. And the very long-established US Open will be coming along in a couple of months' time now. In Atlantic City, Carlo Biado, the winner last year, beating Lucius Yap in the final. It was such a memorable week. That all starts the 10th of October. And of course, that's when we'll be confirming the teams for the Mosconi Cup, which in turn starts on the very last day of November. Europe bidding for 3 in a row. Well, he's hanging in there, Carl.
Yeah, the scratch off the break has helped. And if you can just find a good break now, and just pull to one behind. It's all about momentum, the game of pool. Of course, Delgado's missed a few opportunities.
Rack 9.
That's why he trails.
Jose Delgado to break, trailing by 5 racks to 3.
5-3, and if you can just get back level, it's almost like you can regroup, restart, maybe take a timeout and carry on. So he's going down the middle. That's the break Shane was trying, that little pop. And it's just not happening. Another dry break.
3 out of 4 for him so far. looking for another big success to back up that world title. It's already been a great year for him on the strength of that alone. Hasn't quite happened for him. Mentioned he was beaten in the semis of the UK Open. Semis as well with the USA at the World Cup. Comfortably beaten, really, in the last 4 by Singapore. And lost his opening match at the World Masters to Lo Ho Sum, who went on to reach the final.
Playing for the 4 in the side, and that's okay. But he was trying to get a little straighter. Now, does he have to come round the table somehow? This is not as easy as it looks. Next ball's the purple 5. Just used the 8 ball, didn't he? Just to hold the cue ball. Playing for the 6 in the other side pocket. Needs to keep going. He's not happy with that. Want it to be straight. Might have to risk going into the 2 balls now. If he stuns into the 7 ball, that looks like it's going to glance off the 8 and roll down near the corner. If he plays it too hard, it may go in the corner.
Extension, please.
Nicely done there. It's actually quite an easy shot, but when you're behind it and such a big occasion, you just got to double check, have another look.
Delgado can't afford to continue this dry breaking habit. It's going to cost him big time here. Shane Van Boening is now going to be past the halfway point in his quest for the 11 racks he needs to get to the European Open final. Van Boening in front at 6-3. Not exactly vintage stuff from the world champion so far, but he's doing enough, much as he did last night in the quarter-final. And he got there in the end against Mateusz Sniagotsky.
Shane Van Boening to break. Leading
Bottom
6
line
racks
is,
to 3.
he's pretty comfortable here, as Brendan has outlined there. It's 6-3. Oh, another scratch.
Foul stroke.
And the 9 topples in as well, but that'll come back up.
The last 3 breaks for Shane have resulted in 3 scratches.
Start the clock, please.
But you can see the cue ball again. Forget the kiss, it was going to go in anyway. Because he's not practiced head on, he just hasn't got the feel. He's not got the hit. He's slapping the balls.
So surely he's got to change something.
Well, he has changed it to that break, but unfortunately, maybe this morning he wasn't practicing that break.
You see the stats. No scratches on the break from Delgado, but he's had his own problems. 3 of his 4, he hasn't potted anything.
Key shot coming up now for Delgado. He's got to make sure he gets past this out ball. Over on the left side of the table, this is what he's looking at. He's trying to pick out a point and just make sure he comes past it. Sometimes when you're worried about this, you overhit this shot. Oh, I think he's done well there. I think he's done more than well. Now he can go forward with a cue ball. Oh, that's okay. He could stun it in. Wasn't contacting the 8. Now he's in prime position.
Talked about his junior success, and then there wasn't much from him in the years which followed. But something's happened. Start bringing out the best in him. It may well be the level of company he's keeping in practice now with Alcaide and Sanchez Ruiz. To the quarterfinals of 2 Euro Tour events last year. Now, they don't get anything like the publicity of events like this, but strong fields, they're hard to do well in. Got to quarters last year in Austria, when he was beaten by Mario He, whom we saw in action earlier. And in Turkey, where he was 7-5 up on Mark Bijsterbosch, ended up losing 9-7. He's already been to a last 16 on the Euro Tour this year. So he's doing it consistently at that level. And here he is in a big semi-final.
Extension, please.
Sensibly using the extension to make sure he's just as comfortable as he needs to be to take this 9.
Jose Delgado
and
wins the
again,
rack.
get back to only 2 behind. 6-4. So let's have a look at what's been going on with Shane Van Boening on the break. What can you see here, Carl? If he was to try to mix something up here and change it to try and find better fortune, what would you recommend?
I think it's okay what he's doing, but he's just not getting the pop on the cue ball. It's just flying back, and the previous one went in the other corner, so he's found both top pockets. I think on his next break, though, because of what's happened on the previous 2, he might go back to the hard cut.
What do you mean by pop on the cue ball? Explain exactly what you mean by that.
When you strike down on the cue ball and it hits the head ball, it kind of lifts off the bed of the table with a little bit of height, comes back and stops dead in the middle of the table. It's not an easy shot to do. Shane's one of the best in the world at doing it, but just the fact that he's not been doing it this week is why he's
Jose
losing
Delgado
the
to
cue ball.
break. Trail them by 6 racks to 4.
But we have seen both players mix the break up, and I think it's just going to be a case of what happened on my last break. If it works, they'll continue with that. If it doesn't, they'll switch it up. So now Delgado with a cut break, and that's worked. But this is the beauty of the new break rule. You're just not guaranteed anything. It's complete. It's like a different sport compared to the UK Open.
This is what I was saying. I've been trying to think of a parallel in another sport, that a rule change has come in from one big event to the next that just changes the nature of the game so much. Even think of something fundamental like the back pass rule in football 30 years ago. Changed the game significantly, but not to this extent.
Well, what I will say is this is what professional pool players are used to. This type of game, you know, all year round. The players playing a lot of private games and practice, and these are the rules they would play, and they would play a lot more shots. There's a lot of variety to pool and just break and clear the table, and this is what we're seeing. So push out for Delgado. See where he's going to roll the cue ball. If you've just tuned in for the very first time and you're wondering what he's doing, he's called a push. The first shot after the break, you can call a push out and do anything on the table other than roll the cue ball in the pocket. But you have to bear in mind the incoming player. So Shane can play this shot or he can pass it back. So it's a little bit of cat and mouse. Shane's straight down. He's spotted something. Gonna watch the double kiss here. He's got to play this with spin. Yeah, and he's played it with right spin. Not the greatest push outs from Jose.
First time I ever saw Nineball pool on television in 1987. I didn't know about the push-out rule, and I just saw Steve Miserak play some really strange shot, and I thought he'd just gone mad. And the push-out rule was explained. Did you ever meet him, Steve Miserak?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I think he became famous for some kind of advert or commercial in America.
Extension, please.
Obviously, he was a very good pool player as well. I think he did some kind of beer trick shot commercial or something.
I'm trying to remember. Something like that.
Phil will know. Phil will know.
Phil will make up the answer. He also used to play high-profile snooker and pool challenge matches, which were shown on television around the world against the likes of Steve Davis and Jimmy White.
Extension, please.
Where's the cue ball? Where's the cue ball?
Now, is the jaw of the pocket blocking his path to the one, Carl?
Could do with getting down there and having a look.
Off you go.
I don't think it is, you know.
Yeah, that angle was a good one. I think from there you can see he's okay.
Similar shot. He'll just probably roll. You could see the left side as well, so cue ball's going to scratch.
Foul stroke.
Cue ball is going to scratch. It's a little bit unfortunate to find that path, but
start the clock, please.
It's always on. Take another look. Just misses the red 3 and finds this pocket. So many little twists and turns, same as in the first semi-final and same as in this match. Delgado's fighting hard to try and pull just one behind. It just isn't happening. Shane's pulling away to 3 and then scratching on the break. That's what's going on at the minute.
Mentioned the Mosconi Cup earlier, just in case you weren't aware of it earlier in the week. There's a lot of talk about who would claim the first automatic spot on each team for this year's contest. Joshua Filler has got it for Europe. Shane Van Boening was so far ahead of everyone else that he had the first American spot wrapped up even before we got underway here in Fulda. So he'll be there for the 16th time in a row. You'd have to think it will be almost impossible for the US to win the Mosconi, unless Van Boening has a really, really good week. If he's below his best, they've almost no chance. So many times over the years he's gone to Mosconis and not performed, and that's why. They've only won 3 of the 15 he's been involved in. He will be so important to Jeremy Jones' team come the end of the year.
This rack is pretty much done and dusted now, this simple 9-ball for SVB. What break shot is he going to choose for the next rack? He's scratched in his previous 3 breaks.
And there was a scratch in the middle of the rack, which proved decisive there. Shane Van Boening for the 3rd time in the match. It's 3 clear. It's 7-4. It can't be easy, Carl, to keep chopping and changing during a match, but I suppose if what you're doing isn't working, you're left with no alternative.
No, it's not easy. This was the unfortunate scratch from Jose. Just trying to keep distance. Hit it all wrong, really. He was trying to come on the right-hand side of the 3-ball.
Torsten Homan there, I believe, sitting in the audience in his hometown, 2-time world champion. I noticed in that interview you did with him, you stole my line about how he was world champion in 03, 13, and next year will be another 10 years on.
Don't know what you're talking about, Michael.
Okay, watch the interview again. 7-4.
See the pop there? See the difference in the pace? But he's still dry and he's left a shot again. This is incredible. But it was a better strike. Cue ball pops up. And I tell you what, you wouldn't believe the noise the break makes. You know, when you're sat in the arena, it's a right old wallop.
Three scratches and 2 dry breaks from 7 attempts for Van Boening. You see, only 2. He's actually been successful.
Plays the game at a nice pace. Doesn't hang around, just gets on with it. Walks around the table fast.
One thing we can say is that all those early indications that he was really struggling to settle in, a lot of that seems to have been swept away now. Yes, he still made some mistakes, but not been the sort that suggests he feels uncomfortable out there. I think it's helped that Van Boning's had his problems as well. Underlining the fact that, yes, he's playing the world champion, but still only human, and he's sticking with him nicely here. Again, it looks like he's going to respond to going 3 behind by winning the next rack. No doubt about it, he's still got a real chance to beat the world champion here.
Jose Delgado wins the rack.
Final. And Boening's lead curtailed to 7-5. Just a word about the event, Carl. It's such a cliche, I know, to say, oh, it's been a great success, but it really, really has. You look at the crowds that have turned out over the weekend, the new names that have emerged, the drama we've had. It's the first ever European Open, but what a start it's been to the history of this event.
Yeah, and I think bringing the new break rule in from a player's perspective, I know all the players have been a big fan of it. You know, a lot of these pool players are flying all over the world, and you know, they want to feel like they're getting to play a little bit of the game, not just sat watching somebody keep break and run the table. And I know some people watching, some amateur pool players, think winner breaks isn't the correct format, it should be alternate, but that's not really what the point is. It was the point that the break was too easy. Now, as you can see in this match alone, it's not easy.
Rack 13.
Yeah, and Fulda is not one of Germany's biggest cities, lovely place, but the fact that we've been able to attract decent crowds here across the weekend, and presumably a good one for the final tonight, without going to one of the biggest cities, bodes very well.
Back to the cup break. And a dry break. It's actually unusual, even if you was just going to get down and breaking the balls, you think one would fall in now and again. I mean, this is turning out to be a very rare.
4th time out of 6 it's happened for him in this match. And what sort of a table has he left here?
That looks like it goes in the corner, doesn't it? If it does go in the corner, it looks like he can just come off that rail above the red 3 and roll down for the 2 in the side. Is he looking at doing something with the 3? I don't think he is. I think you've just got to put it in the corner if it goes. It goes past the 4, so that's even better for Shane.
It's an impressive enough effort from Delgado in itself that he's hanging on, and every time it looks like Van Boening might be starting to pull away, Delgado pulls something out and wins the next rack, but that's only good enough for so long. If he keeps going in that mode, Van Boening will eventually fall over the line. Delgado at some point is going to have to put together a run of something like 3 or 4 in a row. Just to underline once again, with these new breaking rules, that's harder than ever to do.
Using 3 rails there just to get nicely on the 4. At some point, if Shane goes on to clear this table, can he get 4 clear? And if he can't, can Delgado get to just 1 behind? It just seems to be a A little bit of cat and mouse at the minute. It's actually turned out to be a good match, hasn't it? It was looking a little bit bleak for Delgado when he missed them 2 green 6 balls.
I think if Van Boening hadn't been making mistakes, it might have continued to be quite bleak. But just the fact that, as I say, the door was opened and Delgado was saying, okay, it's okay to make mistakes in big matches like this. That's why he's still in there with a shout.
Doesn't want to bump the 7. That's okay, missed it. Any angle on the 8 on this rack is over.
Well, despite that nervy start, Delgado did lead 2-1. Could have been 3-1. As it was, Van Boening won 4 in a row and looked to be taking command at 5-2.
Extension,
exchanging
please.
racks 1 for 1 since then. Summed up Van Boning's performance last night against Mateusz Miagocki by saying he did enough. And it's a similar story here. And yet again, Van Boening goes 3 clear. Another 3 racks, and he'll be in the final. It's 8-5.
Great. They don't turn the mic off, did they?
Between a succession of scratches and then a dry
14.
break, Shane Van Boning's last 4 breaks have all resulted in him leaving the table. Can he fare better this time as he looks to close in on victory? and a world final rematch against Albin Ocean.
Gone back to the cut. This is just simply unbelievable. I mean, I know the wing ball's not going in, or the one ball, but you think another ball would fall in at some point in this game. Bemused SVB.
Last time he was still at the table after his break, he was in rack 6. Could there be some issue with how they're being racked? I wouldn't have thought so.
No, I think it's just all down to the 9 going on the spot, and players are trying to pop the one ball in the side now, and it just simply isn't an easy shot. This is what pool players want, though. They don't want 3s and 4 balls going in off the pocket. I mean, when you're breaking, you do, but see how we're seeing a little bit more safety now. Good safety shot there from Jose. Now we're going to see Shane kicking, maybe jump shot. In fact, he's going to jump this ball. He's going to try and pot the brown 7. And this is the art of what being a pool player is about. It's having these shots in the locker.
Just a word about Torsten Homan, who we saw there again. He's been a sort of de facto tournament host and a brilliant ambassador for the event. Went out of it himself quite early on, but he's been here all weekend, walking around, talking to people, keeping the enthusiasm going for the tournament. I'm sure the good crowds are, to a large extent at least, down to his efforts as well. So well done to Torsten Homan this week.
That's the art of a pool player right there. Try and make something happen. Is it your day? Good shot. Yeah, unlike your good self, Michael, Thorsten bought me a coffee the other day as well when we went out for that little interview.
Yeah, the one where you stole my line about him winning world titles 10 years apart. That's why I don't buy you coffee, Carl. You do things like that to me. And there is one of many German stars we've had in the game over the years. We thought Joshua Filler might deliver a home win, but went down to a surprise defeat yesterday.
What a pot. Out of the jaws of the pocket, full length, under the cosh, straight in the pocket.
Certainly in the conversation for best shot we've seen in this match. Van Boening is a great finisher of matches, isn't he? You know, even when it goes tight. We've seen this so many times this year, this week even, and at the World Championship. He's put in so many great finishes to contests to see off resilient opposition.
There's always a few matches in the game of Nineball where you always look forward to watching. There's a big vibe about certain matches. We've seen it with Shaw versus Filler. Didn't really live up to expectations. Filler went on a mad one and ended up winning 10-3. Filler against SVB, it's another one. Shaw SVB, and Albin Ocean against Shane Van Boening is another one of them games that just seems to be box office.
Do you think it'll be in Albin's head at all? The world final, he was so desperate to retain the title and looked absolutely devastated when he lost the final. Will there be any element of it for him wanting to just notch a victory over the man who took his world title away, or does that not come into it? Does the European Open title stand on its own 2 feet?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's just another final. I think, you know, Albin's beat Shane in the final of the World Championships before as well, and they've played a lot of matches. They've played a lot of Mosconi Cup matches, and it's just another game. You just got to hope you get your chances, and you don't do anything silly.
Just a word about Mosconi Cup and Delgado. Now, obviously, he was nowhere in the conversation at the start of the week. he loses this match, he'll be 15th in the European point standings. If he can win it and get to the final, he'll go up to 9th. If he wins the whole title, he'll be in 5th place. And obviously all that's a long way off at the moment, but just shows how you can change your career really with one really big week. Even if it is only to be 15th place he moves up to, goes to the US Open and does well there.
To break. Leading 9 racks.
Who knows what may happen? It's an outside shout at the moment, but worth keeping an eye on. Van Boening, 4 clear now for the first time.
Cue ball again. How is SVB 9-5 up in this match? 4 scratches?
Yeah.
Start the clock, please.
4 scratches and 2 dry breaks from his last 6 goes.
Foul stroke.
Just see the frustration etched all over his face there. A place where they used to do a lot of scratching back in the day, the DJs, was in Ibiza, as I'm sure you well know, Carl. And Jose Alberto Delgado has been a winner of the Ibiza Open. Wouldn't say it's hard to get entries on the list for that event.
Oh, I wonder if they need any commentators.
I saw it first.
Just picture you raving in Ibiza, Michael.
Hard to know what to say to that, really, isn't it? Just having images of Phil out there with his lighter and his arm in the air.
With his fluorescent.
Wearing one of those tops like Man United had on yesterday. They're humbling by Brentford. Anyway, back on planet Earth and moving away from the most surreal conversation of the week. Delgado is once again looking to cling on here. Most famous sporting Delgado I can think of is Pedro, who won the Tour de France back in 1988. And it feels like this match is going round and round in circles at the moment. And Boening keeps looking like he's going to streak away. Delgado keeps coming up with responses. He's found another one.
Jose Delgado wins the rack.
Still needs a massive finish. He would have to win 5 of the remaining 6. But back to only 3 behind once again. He looks a lot happier now. He looked really ill at ease early on when he was making those mistakes and Van Boening was building a lead. But if nothing else, he'll take away from this the fact that he can perform on a stage like this and probably settle in much quicker the next time he's in this situation, even if he were to lose this one.
Yeah, he's run a few racks since that bit of a wobble in one of the earlier racks, so he's going to be feeling okay now. I know he's 6-9 down, but you know, potting balls, running racks, that's what settles you down. And he's still in this match. We're coming up to a crucial part of it now, though. The most crucial part of all. If Delgado can win this rack 9-7, That's big.
Well, here we are in rack 16.
Rack
There have only
16.
been 4 racks so far where
Jose
the break did
Delgado
not
to break.
result
Trailing by 9
in
racks
either
to
a
6.
scratch or the player coming up dry.
He's going down the middle. He's going to be parking the cue ball. Nineball can get kicked. This is where you see Nineballs on the snap. Didn't get kicked, but he's made a ball. He's made 2 balls at last.
And he's on the 1.
There's value in this break. Going down the middle and trying to control the cue ball, there is definite some value. Look at the 1 ball here. If you hit it good, it tracks up towards that corner. You can actually play that break. It's dangerous. The players don't like it because sometimes it stays over the pocket, but it is on.
Hard to see any obvious major problems with what he's got here.
Yeah, I think the first shot may well be his hardest. It's all about, can he get on this 3 ball? You can see he's striking down. He's playing for the 3 in the bottom left pocket. Oh, and he's left it on the rail. He's left it on the rail.
As ever, Carl, you called it right. You said that was really the one he had to get past. If he gets nice on this 3, it would have been very surprising if he didn't get back to 9-7 from there. But now he's left himself a similar challenge from the other side of the table. Probably even harder this time. So again, we can say if he can pull this shot off, get nicely on the 4, should be straightforward from there. But it's a big if. Huge moment in the match. It's Delgado. Looks to stay in with a chance here.
It's all about the natural path of the cue ball. There's a natural path the cue ball takes when potting a ball. And the natural path was running into the 4 ball. He would have known that. He had to take a gamble, and now this is not easy. This is actually harder than the 2 shots he's played. He's potting this in the top right. It's a blind pocket. It's when you can't see the pocket in your eye line. And you do see these missed quite a lot. Big moments.
Three tough questions in a row. He was able to come up with the answer to the first 2, but we see it so often. You just get further and further away from the position you want to be in. And it catches up with you eventually. And you said it was big moments. Now it's back to more like the facial expressions we saw from him earlier in the match. What a chance for Van Boening now to get to the hill.
It's amazing how many times you miss that ball.
Extension, please.
And you hit the top rail as well. It happens so often.
Well, even if he doesn't get another shot from here, worst that can happen to Delgado is that he loses 11-6. Now, he wouldn't be too downhearted about that against the world champion. Playing on this stage in a big semi-final for the first time. But there's no getting away from it. He'll come away with regrets. He'll know he could have made this so much tougher. And that's the way he should look at it, really, going forward in his career, if that is to be the way it turns out. Not to just be satisfied with what he's done, and what's still been a memorable week for him, but to reflect on how he can maybe do better next time. Delgado had a really good chance, just got himself deeper and deeper into trouble. He caught up with him in the end, and he didn't get back to the table. Perhaps the most significant rack of the contest so far, and it's the rack which takes the world champion to the hill. It's 10-6.
It was unfortunate. It all started from the 1 ball, and then that pink 4, just a little bit unfortunate the way it landed, and whenever you're playing it into a blind pocket, as we discussed, You do see them sort of shots missed quite a lot.
We always say in these situations, even if Delgado loses, as we look at his miss again, we'll see him on this big stage again, we'll see him get to more big semi-finals, but it doesn't always work out that way. And yes, he's a new name really at this sort of level, but as we've said, he's 28. Now, it's by no means old in pool terms, but it's taken him this long to reach this stage of a big event for the first time. No guarantee at all that he'll ever have a chance like this
17.
Later on in his career.
Shane Van Boening to break.
What we do know is he's going to have to win
6.
5 racks in a row here, or his adventure is finally over.
Oh my word, another scratch.
Ball in hand.
5 scratches off the break, SVB.
Start the clock, please.
And 7 unsuccessful breaks in a row. How often, under any rules, does Shane Van Boening do that?
And he made 2 balls on the break this time as well.
Extension, please.
Well, the pressure should be off now, Carl, shouldn't it? Because nobody expects you to come from 10-6 down to beat SVB. Yes, I know he's still got massive stakes to play for, but just let his arm go now. See what he can make happen.
Yeah, that's easier said than done while you're out there battling away. He will have come back from many a pool matches just needing 5 racks. It's more than achievable. It really is. It doesn't feel like it when you're playing, but since I've gone on the other side of things and I've watched more pool and spoke about pool matches, I've seen it. I can see how these little things just turn around and, you know, a break and run, and then maybe a good safety. You're right there. You're right back in the match. That's good enough now. He's done the hard work in rack 17.
Okay. That's 1 taken care of. Hasn't managed to win
Jose Delgado
2
wins
in
the
a
rack.
row at any stage of this match. So it's a big ask to turn this around. Just wants to stay out there as long as he can. As long as you're still out there and nobody's got to 11, that's still possible. Ordinarily, we'd be saying excitedly, he's got the break next, but I'm not sure in this match that's even a good thing as we look at Van Boning's latest effort. Smacked by the 6, and there's no doubting the outcome of it from there.
Foul stroke. Ball in hand.
Some of the crowd just laughing. It's all you can do really at that stage. They don't mean any offence. And there will be a gap, unless this goes very close, of about 2 hours if Van Boening can get this done soon. And I think we all know what he'll spend a lot of those 2 hours doing, surely. Coming back, working on that break, trying to solve the puzzle. But he isn't in the final yet.
Rack 18. Jose Delgado to break. Trailing by 10 racks to set.
This is what I was talking about. Look what's set up here. It's a 1-9 combo for A ridiculously quick rack.
This is a breakthrough of sorts in itself.
Delgado wins the rack.
2 racks in a row. And it only took him a couple of shots to do it. 10-8. And Boening knows. Can't start planning for that final just yet. Just 1 or 2 signs in Shane's body language there. He's looking a little anxious to me.
Well, he knows. 10-8 in a race to 11. Can just be a little shot here or there. It's not a big deal. 9-ball track towards the corner. That's usually a bad sign of a bad rack from the referee.
Yeah, it never really looked like the 9 was going in, but clearly when the 1 finished where it did, we knew what was coming next. So 10-8. He'll definitely still believe. Most of the crowd from the early match have filtered back in.
Rack 19. Jose Delgado to break.
And if they've been watching Van Boning's matches throughout the week, they'll have seen him in many close finishes.
Now, let's have a look at the 9-ball. Is it going to track towards that corner pocket again? It's not, so that's good news. What is bad news is it's a dry break. Can SVB close the match out? He's got a bit of work to do. Opening shot. Again, looks like it's going to be the big one. All the balls look like they've got pockets to go in. Pink 4's on the top rail, but because of where the purple 5 is, that's easy enough. This is all about the first shot. How's the pace? That's not too bad. He can roll this in the middle, use the 7-ball to hold the cue ball. Rolling the 7 just that little bit further towards the left pocket will be nice later on in the rack as well. This is the shot now, Michael. He's got to draw back and get on this 4-ball. He'll pull it up on the left side of the table. A good shot. You've still got to come with that shot. You've got to put a lot of power into that shot and get the cue ball moving. We spoke about this purple 5. It's sat in a nice position on the table after potting the pink ball. Gonna need an angle on the 5 though. He's got to get back out into the middle of the table for the 6, but this is a wonderful chance to set up an El Clasico final.
Well, he just keeps on coming up with the answers. All those close finishes on his way to the world title. He's had so many this week as well. Janiuski, perhaps more than anyone. As early as the double elimination stage, but he got through there. Wojciech Szewczyk and Sanjin Pelovanovic both put it up to him. Mateusz Sniegocki, to some extent, last night. Even Sebastian Stab, although he lost 9-5, that doesn't tell the story of that one at all. Whatever sort of challenge has been thrown at him, even though he really hasn't been at his very best this week, he's kept getting through, he's kept finding a way. Credit to Delgado, even with the mistakes he's made. There's a time in this match where you would have thought the prospects of him getting to 8 would have seemed pretty remote, the way everything was going. He'll have disappointments that he couldn't make it even closer, but surely in time he'll come away and reflect on what's been one of the greatest weeks of his life. Playing his part in what's turned into a year to remember for Spanish pool.
So it's just this 9-ball, and he's perfect on it. We're going to see an absolute classic. Once this 9 goes in, SVB to play Ocean.
Yeah, Van Boening wins right.
Van Boening beat Ocean to take his world title and claim it for himself back in April. If he beats him again, he'll win the European Open as well. Shane Van Boening finally shakes off Jose Alberto Delgado by 11 racks to 8. Don't miss it tonight. It's Van Boening against Ocean for the title.